Well, welcome everyone to Loving Out Loud, the video class. This is chapter 4, the title of which is Gene. Love is an action word. I'm glad you're here, and we'll jump in pretty quickly. Just so you know, Gene is another one of my friends, and so we'll kind of explore the situation that surrounded her that I think makes a great example for this class. Our theme scripture this time around is 1 Corinthians chapter 13 verse 8, which says simply, love never fails. Now I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to read, since we've mentioned 1 Corinthians 13 a couple of times in the other classes, and it will probably come up in future classes. I'm going to go ahead and read the full section from chapter 13 verse 1 through verse 8. And you'll have to excuse the reading glasses. It says, if I speak in the tongues of men or of angels, but do not have love, I'm only a resounding gong or a clanging cymbal. If I have the gift of prophecy and can fathom all mysteries and all knowledge, and if I have a faith that can move mountains, but do not have love, I am nothing. If I give all I possess to the poor and give over my body to hardship that I may boast, but do not have love, I gain nothing. Love is patient. Love is kind. It does not envy. It does not boast. It is not proud. It does not dishonor others. It is not self-seeking. It is not easily angered. It keeps no record of wrongs. Love does not delight in evil, but rejoices with the truth. It always protects, always trusts, always hopes, always perseveres. Love never fails. So I want you to think about that last line. Love never fails. My friend John Wright, one time we were talking about this particular passage. We were studying the topic of love, and we read love never fails, and he said, that means it works every time it's tried. So I want you to think about that. Love works every time it's tried, because love never fails. Now, here's something you need to know about me as we go into this story. I have a bit of an oblivious nature. I get locked in behind my own eyeballs in my own little world, and sometimes things can go on around me and I'm oblivious to what's going on. I'm going to give you a couple of examples before I get to the true heart of this particular class. The first one happened, I was a young sales guy and I was in Union City, Indiana. I even remember where I was. This is way back in the early 90s, probably 91, give or take a little bit. It was wintertime. It was cold. It was icy. There was ice everywhere. And I'm sitting in probably a Hardee's or a Burger King. I'm sitting in there having my lunch, and I'm just kind of gazing out the window at the ice and not really paying attention to what was going on out there within my field of vision, just kind of locked in behind my own eyeballs. And then all of a sudden, a bunch of men jumped up around me and ran out the door. And I'm like, what in the world's going on? And then I looked back out, and right where I was staring, a woman had fallen on the ice. She couldn't get up. She needed help. And I'm just sitting there looking at her and not even seeing her. I was being oblivious to what was going on around me. So that's a little something to know about me. As I've said before, these classes aren't necessarily flattering to me, but I think they're honest, and I think they're applicable to a lot of other people. Now, the other thing that I want to talk about before we get a little deeper is that biblical love is an action word. One of the problems I think that we have in our modern society is that we equate love with an emotion. I call it the warm and fuzzies. You know, you love someone, you feel warm and fuzzy about them. We make love kind of this light thing that's you know, it's kind of hoo-hoo. You know, it's love is a warm and fuzzy thing. But biblical love is not that. Biblical love is action. It is decisions put into action. It's choices put into action. The word that most commonly is used in the original languages to designate love in the New Testament is the word agape. Now, it's not agape. It's in English it's spelled A-G-A-P-E, but it's not agape, it's agape. And there are some others, and we'll touch on that in another episode. But agape was quickly defined in the Christian realm as kind of a love that is a choice. It's a love that is an action. It's what you do more than what you feel. And I think that's how Jesus could say, you know, love your enemies. He's not talking about feeling warm and fuzzy about them. He's talking about making choices for their best benefit. And we can do that without feeling warm and fuzzy. So when someone needs some money and you feel nice about them, but you don't give them any money, you're not really loving them biblically. But if they need money and you help them out by giving them some money, then you're loving them. If they need a hand carrying something from their garage to their living room and you help them out by helping to carry it, then you're loving them. If the examples could go on, but if there is a need and you fulfill that need, you choose to do what that need requires, then you are loving them. You may not necessarily feel all warm and fuzzy about it, but you're making the choice that is biblical love. Now, I'm going to give you another example of my obliviousness. And guys, if you're watching this and you're married, I'm sure that you can relate to this, so don't deny it. I have this bad habit, I guess, and I say I guess, you'll understand that in a moment, but my wife will tell me something, and time will go by, and she'll bring it up again, and I'll reply, you didn't tell me that. Oh, yes, I did. No, you didn't tell me that. You must have thought you told me that, but you didn't actually tell me that. You never said that. Yes, I did. And I would do that, and my wife would just be so frustrated. And then at one point in time, we had a young woman and her 3 kids actually living with us. They needed a place to stay. We opened up our home, and they moved in, and she was there. This young woman was there, and this happened. My wife said something. I said, you never told me that. And she said, yes, I did. And I'm like, no, you didn't tell me that. And then Brandy speaks up and says, oh, yes, she did. You were sitting right there in that chair and she was standing over there and she told you that. Whoa. At that point in time, I was ready for Brandy to move out. But the reality is I wasn't intentionally doing that to my wife, but the reality was I wasn't giving her my attention. I was not loving her with my attention. I was being my oblivious self. Because you see, love takes action. And sometimes that means doing physical things. And sometimes it means, hey, giving your attention to the people who need your attention. So, okay, now I think we're going to jump on to the story of Jean. So, Jean and her husband, Bill, were my very good friends. Now, they've both passed away at this point. But Bill and Jean and I worshiped together. We were in small group studies together. We were in the same kind of leadership groups together for many, many years, probably in the neighborhood of 15 or so. And we got to be great friends. And I loved Bill and Jean very much. And I loved Jean dearly. She was a sweetheart. Very important to me. Now, they were a bit older than me, but we were still very, very close. And as the story goes, I'm sitting in my home office and I'm working away. I'm on my computer, or I'm doing something. I'm working for my employer, and I'm very focused. I'm into whatever it is I'm doing, and I'm focused on this project. And my phone rings, and I can't help but answer my phone when my phone rings. So, folks, if you call me, and I will answer my phone. But I picked up the phone, and it's Bill on the other line, and I said, "Hey, Bill, how you doing?" He goes, "Well, Mike, Gene's brother has passed away in Illinois, and we're about to head over there. Gene is really hurting." Now I'm kind of improvising some of this because I don't remember the exact wording, but it was something along this line. Gene's really hurting. She's going to need her church family to support her. We're heading out right now. Could you call the church and call, our small groups, and let them know that Gene's brother has passed, and encourage them to reach out to her?" Oh, and I'm like, "Oh, sure, yeah, absolutely, yeah. Yeah, I'll call him for sure." And he and I kind of, we exchanged a few more words, and then we hung up. And I decided that I would call a little bit later. I had this project to do. So I got back into my work. And long story short, folks, I completely forgot. I forgot about Bill's call. I forgot about Gene's loss. And I did not remember until the following Sunday morning at church, when Bill and Gene are there, and nothing was said about Gene's loss. No one had called her. No one had supported her. I had left Gene with no support from her church family. It still hurts for me to think about that today. Because, my affection for Gene, while great as it was nullified by my inaction. I had failed to love her. I felt warm and fuzzy all about her, but in reality, I had failed her because I had not met the need that was before me. And love is an action word, not the warm and fuzzies. Now, I forgot my friend's need, and I fell back behind my own eyeballs, and I failed to act. Bill, her husband, was incredibly angry at me. He and I have been close friends for a number of years, but he was devastatingly angry at me. He was so disappointed in my lack of support. The fact that I'd left his wife hanging through that period of loss was just incredibly, that pain was incredibly deep. And I'm looking in his eyes, and I'm seeing that pain. For me, I've kind of put it akin to Peter's rooster moment when he realized that he had denied Jesus. That wide open, sudden realization of your own guilt. And Bill was so deeply disappointed in my lack of support. And frankly, he told me bluntly to my face in front of other people how disappointed and angry he was. And I apologized. I am so sorry, Bill. I really am so sorry. Please forgive me. And he looked me in the eyes and he said, "Mike, I don't think I can ever forgive you for this." And it ran a dagger through my heart. Because my oblivious nature nearly broke a friendship that was dear to me. I didn't do it on purpose. I didn't go out of my way to hurt It wasn't something where I was being devious or hateful. I was just being thoughtless and oblivious. I want you to think about Philippians chapter 2, verses 3 and 4. And I'm going to read it in the Message version because I think it's a really good way of putting it. It says, don't be obsessed with getting your own advantage. Forget yourselves long enough to lend a hand. And in that particular case with Jean, I didn't forget myself. I forgot her. And I did anything but lend a hand. And frankly, folks, it was devastating. A very difficult situation. Now I want you to remember John Wright's message. Love, it works every time it's tried. Okay, I want you to go back to remember that. You know, I had a deep affection for Jean, yet I failed to love her because I failed to act. And it really, truly broke me. I was brokenhearted. I was devastated at my lack of compassion and my lack of action. I resigned from my role in leading the group that we were in and basically kind of withdrew into a cocoon. And it very nearly broke that relationship permanently. I lost their respect and I lost my own self-respect. And in a lot of ways, I gave up. However, love works every time it's tried, folks. And Bill and Jean tried it because they actually did forgive me. Bill and Jean both let me know that they forgave me. And they applied that agape love through their forgiveness. They saw the need in me and met that need, even though I had failed to meet their need. They gave me their love. They gave me their support. They helped me to get a new vision for what I could do. And it changed everything for me. Because love works every time it's tried. I failed to try it, but it works every time it's tried. Now, here's the message for us, is we need to keep trying it. We do. We need to keep trying it. Even when we think it's not going to work, let's truly try it. Okay, folks, time for our discussion questions for this week. Again, pause them in between, think about them, discuss them if you're in a group, and really give some thoughts to how they would impact you. Number one, do things sometimes go in one ear and out the other when someone speaks to you? It obviously happens to me. Can you share an example? Now, preferably you share your own example and not the example of someone else who did that to you. So, this is introspection time, not extrospection. I'm not even sure that's a word, but, be introspective about this. Think about yourself. Number two, can you share about a time when you were oblivious to what was going on around you? Still happens to me all the time. I haven't whipped that yet. Number three, have you ever been hurt because someone was oblivious to your obvious need? Please share about it, but be careful not to confess someone else's sin. Keep their identity confidential. Just share about the situation, okay? And number four, that person who hurt you, have you tried loving them with forgiveness? Give that a try. Remember, love works every time it's tried. Number five, can you think of any needs around you to which you can actively respond? And number six, what are some difficult situations where love can be tried? Think about that. What are some difficult situations where maybe you could try resolving them by utilizing love? All right, I think it's time to jump into the challenge. Let's see. Yes, the weekly challenge. Take time this week to look around at the people nearby. It could be in your office, it could be at work, it could be in class, it could be at the grocery store, it could be at the gas station, consider the needs you can observe just by paying attention. What needs do you see? That's your challenge for this week. Okay, next week we're going to talk about Dolores. This is one of my favorite stories, but we're going to talk about Dolores, and the subtitle is A Term Paper and Washed Feet. So you can wonder about that, but let's look forward to our time together next week. Take care.